In this video here, we're going to go over suppling and controlling the hind end. It's a great little exercise. It actually prepares you for a lot of the lateral movements, because if you don't have control over the hind end, it's really hard to go out there and do a shoulder in or a haunches in or a half pass or a leg heel, whatever lateral movement you might do, or even opening and closing a gate. So it's a fun little exercise to prepare you for all of those things. So what we're going to do is just go off down the fence, and I'm going to go down here a little bit, and then I'm going to turn around just to give me a little bit more space here. So I'm going to walk down the rail. As I'm walking down the rail, I'm going to tip my horse's nose slightly to the rail, just slightly. Most people are going to want to use the rein to control the hind end. You want the rein the rein controls the head, neck, and shoulders, somewhat of the shoulders, but mostly the head and neck, a little bit of the shoulders. So the rein isn't there to ask the hind end to go anywheres. So I'm walking down the rail, I tip the nose slightly to the rail. Now I'm going to come on with my leg closest to the rail and start asking the hind end to come off of the rail. Every step she takes, I ask a little bit more and a little bit more until she's facing the rail. And there I'd have liked to gone a little farther. If we had the straightaway, I could have went around the corner, but it makes it a little harder. As soon as she's facing the rail, I halt, wait for a moment, and now I'm going to just ask the shoulders to head this way, and now we're going to go back down the rail again. As we're walking down the rail, I tip her nose slightly to the rail. I come on with my leg closest to the fence, and I start asking the horse to bring its hind end off of the rail. I take my time with this. As we're going, I ask the hind to come off a little bit more and a little bit more. And that's nice, and I can actually do a little bit of a side pass here. See, she wanted to halt right away, and I was like, no, let's do a little bit of a side pass, then halt. We wait for a little bit. I ask the shoulders to go back the other direction, and now we walk on, and we can do the same thing this way. So again, I pick up, I tip her nose to the rail, I come on with the outside leg here, asking the hip to come off of the rail slowly. Doesn't have to be fast. Some horses are just going to want to spin around. You're going to say, no, I want this to be a slow process of going one step at a time, a little bit farther, and halt. That was nice. And then we head back down the other way. Now, some of the issues that are going to show up here, Nisa, she knows, she's good at this, so it's pretty easy to do. But if you have a horse that's never done this before, this is a great exercise for green horses. I'll do this a lot because it really starts to get the hind end supple and gets them coming off your leg, following your feel. So as I tip her nose to the rail, I come on with the outside leg here. Now if I come on and there's no response, I've got my whip here, and I'm just going to vibrate the whip or tickle her a little bit to say, move that hind end over. As soon as she does, I give her to her for a moment, and then if she gets heavy with my leg, so my leg isn't the thing, it isn't what you want to use to really get assertive with. It's a feel. You want to come on with your leg with a feel, and if there's no response from that feel, then the whip shows up. Or if you have a spur, you can use the spur. But early on, I don't like to get into the habit of a lot of spur, because most people then that's what they go to, is heavy with the spur. So think of more, you're being real soft with the leg, and then you're going to come in with the whip to say, hey, pay attention to my leg. So now that I'm facing this way, my outside leg, the leg closest to the rail, is the leg that's going to come on, and it's, a lot of people are like, oh, bring your leg way back to move the hind end. I'm more about the front end. I'll kind of bring my leg forward just a little bit, the hind end, to move the hind end out. I'm going to just bring it back 2 or 3 inches, maybe a little bit more sometimes with the greener horses, but it's not like I have to really slide my leg back there to get it. It's more about getting effective with your tools. So as I walk down, I come on with my leg. Now she's paying attention, so I don't want to really get after with the whip, but if not, I would just tap her with the whip to say, hey, move your hind end over. Step it over there. Thank you very much. Good. Now, the other thing that's going to happen is as you ask the hind to come off the rail, your tendency is going to be pulling with the rein here, tipping the nose. So you're going to bend and bend the nose, and then the neck's going to break, essentially. You're going to bend the neck too much, and then you're going to lose control over the shoulder, and so they'll just go forward with the shoulder and not bring the hind end out. So let me explain that as we're going here. So I'm going along. If I bend her neck too much, now I ask the hind to come off, I'm going to lose this shoulder. She's not going to move the hind end out. She's just going to go forward with the shoulder here. And she still knows what we're doing, so she just does it. So I'll walk down here a little bit. I'm asking the hind, if her neck breaks too much, then the bend, or she doesn't move the hind end off the rail. We'll go back this way. So I come on, I say, let's move the hind end over. If I start pulling with the rein, see how her neck bends, but the hind end doesn't go out, and I lose this here shoulder. So what you need to do is come on with a little bit of this rein, just to block the shoulder a little bit and keeping the head and neck from bending too much. And it's a balancing act. I slow this foot down here, but I engage the outside hind, the hind closest to the rail, and say, step it over there. It's getting the horse to step up and cross over. There. But if the horse's neck bends too much, you're going to lose control over the hip. And this also really comes into play in the other lateral work, in your shoulder in and your haunches in. So it's the start of you getting control with the outside rein. Now, see how we're going forward here? The horse is going straight ahead. In the process, we go from straight ahead to a slight bend, to moving the hind end off the rail slightly. Now this would be a shoulder in. Now if we keep going, it goes from a shoulder in to an exaggerated shoulder in. If we keep going, it goes into a side pass. So the angle goes from, the horse's feet go from moving straight ahead. As we ask the hind to come off, it goes into the hind crossing over. So there's a whole range of suppling going on in this exercise. And that's why it's a great exercise to prepare you for your other lateral work. That's nice. Because she's listening to my seat and leg. As we go here, I come on with my outside leg and I start asking the hind end to come over. And again, if they're not listening to a soft leg, then a whip would show up. And if you're really having trouble, you might even put 2 whips in your hand so you're not switching back and forth, because you know, there's a lot of switching going on here. So get 2 whips, right along. We go down. I can come on with my leg. If it's not there, I vibrate softly with the whip to say, hey, step over there. She slowly starts bringing the hind end off the rail. Starts exaggerating from a shoulder in, more into a side pass. And to me, a side pass is when a horse is nearly straight at a right angle, straight right angle to the line of travel you're on, but bent away from the direction you're going. All right, now we can actually take this another step and we can bring it to the inside of the arena. The rail is a great place to start, but can you do this on any line, if just going down the center of the arena or going down the trail? It's a great exercise to get the horse paying attention and listening to you down the trail. So we can go along. I slightly tip her nose now to the inside, come on with my inside rein, my inside leg, and start asking for the hip to go out and keep increasing the angle until we're into a side pass. And that was nice. And then we can turn around. Now when you do this, really find a line of travel with the horse's shoulders and keep the horse's shoulders on that line, and then you start asking for the hips. See, now she's a little stickier with the hips this way, moving the hind end over, so I'm just came in slightly with the whip to say move over. And good. All right, now one other big things that most people do as they ask for any lateral work is, if I'm going to, I'll go back to the rail here and do it down the rail. If I'm going to ask for her hip to come off the rail, most people lean this way to ask the hind to go that way. So what that does, if I'm here, now I lean this way to ask her hind to go that way, I've just put my weight onto this hind leg, the one that needs to pick up and cross over underneath her body. So what you really want to do is slightly shift your weight into the direction of travel, taking your weight off of the inside hind, the one that's picking up. This hind leg's picking up. So you can see me here, I'm going to shift my weight slightly that way so she can pick that leg up and underneath her body. Again, what most people do is they collapse like this and lean, and it makes it much harder for the horse to move over that way because you're loading this leg, the one that needs to pick up and underneath. So really be aware of what your body is doing whenever you do any of the lateral work. So I'm going to shift my weight slightly. Really try not to collapse the rib cage as you do any lateral work. And so this is a great place to start off by just flexing the neck, come on with my leg, shift my weight. And you'll feel by shifting the weight, the horse just starts to float that way. And that's really what we're looking for, is for the horse to float over there, and then you just start increasing that angle till they're square to the rail, and then you can halt, go back the other way, and do the same thing. So usually you play with this at the walk, but you can do it at the trot. The trot's a little trickier. You know, you really have to develop the horse for it. So go on out there, play with it, let me know what you think of it. And thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.